Good afternoon, YouTube. So we'll start up right where we left off. Right now, the topic of conversation is the successes of the PPC party since the election.
Has your party seen any change in interest right after O'Toole was announced as the leader, or?
No, actually, no. It's a huge opportunity for us. I think that our membership will grow, our donation will grow, and people, because people who voted for O'Toole for fixing the alienation of Westerners, there's no solution there. We have the best platform for that. People who are looking for no to globalist. Politics, we are the only one going to put our country first and won't send foreign aid to every country. We will work for Canadian first. So these people will be disappointed. People who want a real fiscal conservative philosophy, they will be disappointed. Andrew Scheer said at the last election that he will need 5 years to balance a deficit, a budget with a deficit of $20 billion. Now, with a deficit of $343 billion, how many years O'Toole will take? 25 years, 50 years to balance that? We'll see, but he won't be able to balance that in one term because he won't tell Canadians what we need to cut to be sure to achieve that. And we were very out loud of that. We said we must cut the CBC. We can save $1.2 billion. We can cut foreign aid. We will save $4 billion. We can cut also corporate welfare. We will save about $5 billion. So you need to tell the truth to the population, and we're doing that. So that's why I think we have a great future. That's only the beginning, and we'll see what will happen. And for me, the most important is to be back in the House as soon as possible as a member of Parliament. So that's why if there's a by-election next spring and we don't have a general election, so I'll be there. And our goal is to be back in Parliament to be able to have the opportunity to change the politics in this country by debating with all these leftist politicians in Ottawa right now.
There have been major speculation that we might see an election as early as this coming fall. What's your opinions on that? Will we be seeing an election soon?
I don't think so. First of all, Justin Trudeau can have the support of the NDP or the Bloc Québécois. He only needs support of one political party in Ottawa. And I think that we may be in election maybe this spring. And so after a budget, but our party will be ready. The most important for us is to be out there and speak to Canadians, and I will be back on the road as soon as I can because of the COVID-19 restrictions. I'll be actually in Vancouver this September, early September, to do a rally and meeting our former candidates. We are in a process to select our candidates for the next election. So we'll be ready, and if the election is this spring, we'll be there, and we will make a difference.
So let's talk about the pandemic a little bit more. If you were Prime Minister, how would you have handled things differently, or would it have been looking pretty much the same?
Oh, no, differently. First of all, the big mistake that the Trudeau government did, it's not closing their border in the beginning. So the first thing, and I was saying that actually, I did a video on that, I did some interview on that at that time. And Justin Trudeau, I don't know if you remember that, but we're saying that the people who want to close our border are racist. That was he was saying that. So no, our goal was just to protect Canadians. So first, that would be a big difference. Second, no lockdown. So why having a lockdown and killing the economy, killing jobs? So the lockdown was a big mistake. Look at other countries that didn't do a lockdown, and they had per capita the same result after COVID in February, March, and April. So I'm thinking about Sweden and other countries that did not lock down their economy. So that must be two things that the government did, and for me, I think that was a big mistake. And now we are paying for that. We are in a recession, and we may be in a depression also. So economically, it's not going well in our country right now. So and all the mandatory masks, you can question that. Why in the beginning the government was telling us that if you wear a mask it won't change anything. So and now they're saying it's so important. I think people are free and responsible, and I think government are imposing too many restrictions on our freedom right now.
Would you have declared the pandemic as over by now?
Absolutely, it is over by now. We have in my own province of Quebec, we have only 50 cases in hospital, and people. We may have the second wave this fall or this winter. But at the end, we know how to deal with it. And I think it's not by having another lockdown or imposing severe restrictions on our freedom that will help.
So a lot of what you say is the opposite of what we hear constantly in mainstream media. You're talking about no systemic racism, funding the police, and the idea that the pandemic should be over. So how would the People's Party of Canada, how would they get their voice out there in media and really speak and connect to the people with having such a different narrative?
That's a good question. Actually, first by speaking with you, you're a credible media, and I'm very pleased that I had this opportunity today. Second, yes, it is a little bit more difficult for us to be in the mainstream media. Actually, I did a press conference last Monday after when O'Toole was elected the leader, and I had a pretty good coverage on the mainstream media on my press conference. So it's a little bit more difficult, but that's why my goal as the leader of the People's Party is to travel across the country and doing a rally over there, and at the same time also interview with a local newspaper and local radio station. So it would be an important way to be in the mainstream local media. But at the same time, we must not forget the social media. And I think a lot of people are taking their news only on social media. So that's why we have a YouTube account, People's Party of Canada /official, my Twitter account, Maxime Bernier. I'm now on also Instagram, and I'm using that to deliver on our message to Canadians, and that's going well. So it's we are using all the tools that we have to be sure that Canadians will hear from us. But you're right, the biggest challenge that we have, it's about 80% of the population don't know that we exist. So we just have to be out there. And right now, it's not too bad. We are at 4% in the poll, and we're not so present in the national news. The more will be out there, the better would be for the party and for Canadians.
Oh, I agree with you. A lot of people are getting their news off of social media right now, but there's a huge issue with censorship, including those with conservative values. So how would you handle that if you were Prime Minister?
Yeah, all that, deplatforming and censorship, we must be vigilant. And so I'm on Twitter right now, and I'm very active on Twitter. But is there one solution for that? I think that it's very difficult. You must start by I think the federal government can be very clear with university that receive grants from the government. You must have a free speech policy, and if not, you won't receive any money. Can we do something with the big Twitter and YouTube and Google? I know that in the US they're having the debate. I think that we must have that debate here. We must have a parliamentary committee that must look at it. It's a priority for Canadians. I'm very realistic right now. I don't have one solution to solve that. But I think we need to look at what happened in other jurisdictions. I know that in Australia, they did hearings about it. So I think we must start to have a national debate and we must find a solution because we cannot tolerate that. These platforms are platform and their role is not to censor people.
So media, you said, is a challenge for you. But what about things like having a modest budget and also what about not having any MPs? How are you guys going to overcome that when running in the next election?
Yeah, but that's why I want to run in the first by-election, and so to be back in government as soon as possible, not in government, sorry, in parliament as soon as possible. And yes, if I look at the Reform Party, when the Reform Party out west started, I didn't have any MP in the beginning. It was a movement, and after that, a political party. And at the second election, they were able, the first one and the second election, they were able to have MPs. So for us, we built a new party in 1 year, the year of an election, and now we are in a second year. So it's a challenge. It's a huge challenge. But, I'm very optimistic because I'm speaking the truth. I'm speaking what I believe is right based on principles. And I think people are not used to that. People are fed up with traditional establishment politicians. They want to hear the truth. And I'm speaking with Canadians like they're adults and not children. I want them to understand the challenges that we're having with the budget, with the leftists, the deplatforming and all that, our freedom is in danger. So the more I speak, the better it is for our party because I think I'm able to have support from people. And a lot of people told me at the last election, especially out west, Maxime, we like your platform. You're saying everything that is great for this country, but we want to be sure to get rid of Justin Trudeau and we don't want to split the vote. So a lot of people voted for the Conservative, but at the end, I think they liked our platform. So our challenge next time will be to tell them, vote for your ideas, vote for what you believe in, don't vote against something. And, we just need to be 1, 2, or 3 in Ottawa, and we'll be able to influence politics in this country. So that will be our message. If you believe in this country, if you want our country to be to keep our sovereignty and fight for our national interest and fighting for all Canadians and putting Canadians first. You look at our platform, we're the only party who speak about it without any political correctness. And I'm saying what must be said, and I think people appreciate that. So that's why I'm saying the next election will be I think. Another way for us to build our party, and we may have more than one MP elected after the next election.
And just backtracking back to the pandemic, do you think that there's one region or one province that has done a good job with how they've handled the pandemic so far?
No, I look at every province had a regulation and that the government wanted, these government at the provincial level and federal level wanted to govern without their legislative assembly, without their parliament. And usually when you have a crisis, it's time to have debate, because when you have a debate, the best ideas will be the one that people will take. It's always good to have debates. I remember, I've read during the First World War, Churchill and the Parliament in London was open, and they had debate at that time. And here we decided to shut down the government in Ottawa, and provinces did the same thing, and they use a lot of powers that was not useful for fighting the coronavirus. So I think that if you look at what the provinces and the federal government did together, I think they were too far, and that's why we must ask our freedom back.
All right. So in closing, I will ask a lighter question, but something that people can get to know you a little bit better. If you were stranded on a deserted island, what would be 2 items you'd bring that have nothing to do with survival?
I'll bring a book. The one would be Human Action. And because I think it's important, your viewers can read it. And the second one will be 2 things: that book and the second one, Human Action. It's a good one. Maybe another book that I really enjoy. Ayn Rand, it's just to relax a little bit, and Atlas Shrugged. So that would be my second book. So if I'm there alone, I think I will read again these 2 books.
So just to get back to the point, because I see this as sort of like Maxime talking about the successful failure of the party, you could say. The failure being that they have no seats, but that they have the principle and the ideals and the freedom and everything that Canadians need at this time. And they're the representative of those true ideas, those true ideals. So I won't say too much because Maxime pretty much takes it by himself. It's just I'm looking at it from. I hope that Maxime's defense of the truth will inspire Canadians to vote for him. That's in my heart. I hope that kind of idealism still exists in the population of Canada enough that it would help people like Maxime to be a stronger voice, because as he said in the previous video, we are completely now dominated by the leftist ideology, and the conservatism is not really in existence anymore in this country. It's been suppressed or rejected. So we hope for the best in the future, but for me, I feel strongly inclined always to support the PPC, because that idealism is very important for people. That's the defense, the courage that it takes to support the real truth and not some watered down half truth. Scheer and the rest of them, they don't care what's true so long as they're elected. And from what I heard in this conversation, Aaron O'Toole doesn't care about the truth neither, but they do want to get into power. So perhaps they'll take a different stance this election than Scheer did. But my loyalty remains with the People's Party, whether they're in power or not. And I do believe that Maxime has a very good shot at getting his seat back, and perhaps a few other members of his party should get seats as well. So even if they only get 3 or 2 or even 5, I hope for that. We have to remain optimistic. So thank you for watching, and have a good day.